Hey, welcome back to Boxscore Boomers here at RDR Influence Production. We're back here again. It's been a pretty exciting week in college football. Week 7 has commenced, and Week 8 is underway. You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, I'm starting to see a pattern. We're getting some resurgence of a couple of these guys establishing themselves, and that's what we want to see, a little bit of consistency. So, with no further ado, I'm going to jump right in. Always start with the running backs because that's what we need. Some running backs in the fantasy football lineup, so you get them while they're young. We're going to start out with Cincinnati's Jerome Ford, and as we've mentioned before, he is a 5'11", 220-pound junior, so that's good size. And he's out of Cincinnati, and he just put up 189 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns on 20 carries up against UCF. So that's pretty awesome. He's got 12 touchdowns this season, which will happen when you got a 4 TD game, but definitely keeping an eye on him. I like that he's 220. That's a good size.
Formerly Alabama Crimson Tide player as well, right?
Absolutely. My man AJ with the facts. And then you got Jaylen Warren out of Oklahoma State. He's a senior. Now, this guy, I really am intrigued by his size because he's 5'8", 215. So that is power. That's a punch. He's got to pack a punch. As he definitely did. He had 33 carries for 193 yards against Texas. So the past 4 games, Jalen is averaging 32 carries. In the past 3 weeks, he's been up against top 25 opponents. So he's doing this against some heavily ranked guys, averaging 147 yards per game against top 25 ranked opponents. So that's pretty serious. I mean, it's a Big 12, but, it's not, can't count him out. He's doing some good stuff. We got Isaiah Spiller for Texas A&M. It's great to see this. Spiller doing Spiller things. He's averaging 3.6 yards, or 6.3 yards this year. Oh, man, a couple of Coors earlier. But he looks the part. He's a junior, 6'1", 215. That's great size. This up against Mizzou, 168 yards. Looked great. And then you have Tyrion Davis-Price out of LSU. And this is a newer name to me. He is a junior, 6'1", 232 pounds. But this game is insane. He had 287 yards and 3 touchdowns on 36 carries against number 20 Florida. And that is I don't even know what to say. That's unheard of. Obviously LSU, it's a big school, gonna have some good football players, but that's insane. 287 yards against Florida. So
Damn.
I'm not sure what the story is with him. He had limited usage in the first 3 weeks, but he's been a 20-plus carry guy in 4 games in between this year and last year. And any game he got over at least 20 carries, he had over 100 yards. So, just give him the work and he'll build that up and turn it into a mountain, man. So it's very, very surprising. I'm going to keep an eye on him. Looks like the kind of guy you might catch later on in drafts coming up. Not a obvious pick, but could be the guy that you remember for blowing up against Florida that one time.
I mean, I'm looking back that previous game against Kentucky, 22 carries, 147 yards, and 2 TDs.
Yeah.
Damn.
He's heating up, but the first 3 weeks of the season, it was kind of weak. So, well, I have 2 to mention. One I didn't put on the list, but the next guy I've got to talk about is Breece Hall, and out of Iowa State. We know the name. He's a junior, 6'1", 220, and he just put up 197 yards and 2 touchdowns against K-State. And we happen to have an eyewitness in the room.
I was at that game. Opening drive, 75-yard touchdown. Opening play. First play of the game. And it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to watch him be in action.
Yeah, I bet so. Not so fun wearing purple, but
I was wearing purple. I had pretty good seats too, and so
you got to really watch him kick you guys' ass.
yeah, that happened, man. It was Breece Hall, man, to the moon.
What a disappointing game to only have 122 yards after the first play.
I know, right?
It's weak.
Unfortunate. Iowa State's never had a first-round draft pick, so.
Wow. I don't know. I don't know if I can commit to that.
No, it's true.
Yeah, I'm sure it's true.
You can't commit to him being a first-round draft pick?
Yeah, I just never know with running backs, man.
Yeah.
But he's definitely crushing it. He deserves it.
Where's Miami drafting this year?
Ooh, probably 9th.
Yeah. All right.
Sorry. Or wherever Houston is drafting with their pick. So I was got a little inside information. I try to keep up with everything, but this one slipped past me. Kennedy Brooks has been doing a lot better these past 2 weeks. He had 153 yards against TCU last week. And did you know that it is because they've gone with Caleb Williams as the quarterback at OU? And Spencer Rattler is no longer the starting quarterback.
Oh.
And it's pretty serious. This guy's a freshman. He's a rushing threat. And if I don't know, I'll send you the write up ESPN had. But pretty much all statistics across the board have improved significantly. He rallied the team in a comeback against Texas, and now he crushed it against TCU last week. And it's like, oh shit, Spencer was supposed to be the dude. Like, he's a Heisman favorite, and now he's captain of the team, running the practice squad. You know what I mean?
Damn.
So that's something to keep an eye on. You can see it's night and day when you look at Kennedy Brooks' stats. So
yeah. So Tua took over.
Yeah. Yep. OU, crazy fools. So I'm rolling it into the wide receivers. We have he's quickly becoming like one of my favorite guys, and that is Purdue's David Bell. He's a junior, 6'2", 205. He had 11 catches for 240 yards and a touchdown, and that's against number 2 Iowa. So that was pretty cool. They kind of came in and kicked some fucking ass right there.
At Iowa.
Yeah. That shit was insane, man. So, but this was the best game of his college career, so you got to look out for that, right? No, he's a badass. He averages 100 yards per game last year, and he had over 1,000 yards as a true freshman, sharing the field with Rondell Moore. So you got to give him props for that. I think he's a pretty serious guy, and it speaks for itself, but he's definitely someone growing on me in a big way.
The second week in a row bringing him up, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. For sure. Well, he skipped last week, but in week 5 he had, a pretty good game against Minnesota. But I think I'm going to do a full breakdown on him as we get closer to the playoff time.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah, I'll be selecting, cherry picking a couple of these repeat guys. But here's a guy that's not much of a repeater. It's Jalen Tolbert out of South Alabama, which is a well-known school, we all know. But he's a junior. He's 6'3", 190 pounds. He had 11 catches for 174 and a touchdown. And that was against Georgia Southern, so some popular schools going down here. But this is a small school. I just like his numbers a lot. He's got just about a 20-yard average on 36 catches this year, but only 2 touchdowns. I don't know. I'm just kind of keeping an eye on the small school realm. This was the kind of week where no one really blew up anything too crazy out of the Power 5. So I got a little bit of time to look at the smaller school guys. Speaking of, this is a guy from last week, Jerreth Stearns out of Western Kentucky, not to be
Oh yeah,
confused with Western Michigan.
or Central Michigan.
Yeah. He is a junior, 5'9", 195, a little small, but he had 13 catches for 221 and a touchdown against Old Dominion. So that's a pretty good game. This guy is actually the number one wide receiver in yards this year. He just jumped like three guys by doing this 221-yard game. So it's pretty cool. He's got over 100 yards more than the number two guy. So you got to keep an eye on him because he's leading college football in catches.
Yeah.
So I know we had his Calvin Austin out of Memphis, but he had a weak game, and Stearns just went. Whew, and he cleared him pretty good. But I mentioned that TCU game against OU earlier, and Quentin Johnston was a wide receiver for TCU. He's a sophomore, 6'4", 201 pounds, and he had 7 catches for 185 and 3 touchdowns. And this is kind of a big play kind of guy. I don't know. He's got an average of 20-plus yards per game over his whole career. 6th time he did that. Sorry. 6th time he's had over a 20-yard average per game in a short career as a sophomore. And I think he had like 8 50-yard plus catches. So he's just kind of a big play guy, which you got to love. So I'm going to keep an eye on him, see how he does. He's the youngster of the week. I try not to get too many youngsters, but he's my sophomore in here. But so kicking over to the quarterback world, we got Matt Corral out of Ole Miss. He is a junior, 6 foot, 200 pounds. Now, it wasn't that spectacular in the air. He had 21 passes caught for 231 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception against Tennessee. So this is his only interception all year. He's thrown 14 touchdowns. So he's, taking care of business. I thought I'd put him in off of sheer efficiency. You made it this far, and this is your first interception. Good job, man. I thought I'd talk about you. Oh, shit. No way. He actually had a rushing game of his life. 30 attempts for 195 rushing yards. No touchdowns, so he kept it clean, He was feeding everyone else the TDs, right? So that's pretty impressive. His long run was 32 yards, so he was doing work. It's not like he got 75 yards in the first play of the game or something. He was putting in the work. Almost 200 yards rushing. Last week, he had 94 yards rushing, so he's getting pretty serious. Anyway, another guy we brought up last week was Bailey Zappe. He's a senior out of Western Kentucky. Keep talking about Western Kentucky. But you can't not mention this guy when he goes 36 for 397 yards passing, 5 touchdowns, and 1 interception. So that's how you end up having your number one wide receiver in yards. But if you talk about this quarterback, he's number 1 in touchdowns, and he has 2 weeks with 5 touchdowns in a game. So he's still number 2 in passing yards. That's old Brendan Armstrong still got that number. Mm-hmm. So we'll get there. We'll get there. And the last quarterback I'm going to mention this time is Bryce Young. He's a sophomore out of Alabama. So I don't know if you heard of Alabama, but they're pretty serious motherfuckers up there. And
down there,
over there. This guy, he's 6 foot, 194 pounds. And he threw 20 passes that were caught, and it was 348 yards and 4 touchdowns against Mississippi State. So after getting the loss to A&M the previous week, where he had a 58% completion rate, he steps back in a big way and ends up setting So he ends up, putting up that stat line, 4 touchdowns. He's third in touchdowns in all quarterback rankings this year, and he has 24 touchdowns in 7 games. So it's pretty incredible. Excited to see what happens. This young man is a sophomore, so he's still got a little more time to put in at Alabama, but pretty explosive. And as promised, I will always try to put a tight end in. And this has been a rough one. So if you made it to this tight end of this episode, I'm proud of you. We got Cole Turner. He's out of Nevada. He's a senior, 6'6", 240 pounds. And he had 12 catches for 175 yards, no touchdowns. He's modest. And that was up against Hawaii. So he might have been distracted by the luau's, but I gotta say this isn't somebody we should be super excited about. He had a great week, but double-digit yardage, first time all year. It's not even. It's the first time he broke out of double-digit yardage all year. I wouldn't expect much out of this guy, but that was a hell of a game, man. You go to Hawaii.
Got tip your cap to him.
You know what?
Yeah, man.
So that's Boxscore Boomers this week. Like I said, man, every once in a while you get a rough week, and we got one for you. Next week, all of our superstars are going to be high flying, and it's just going to be
exactly
household names in your face.
Or you get a rough couple weeks, man. I'm still looking at Deuce Vaughn.
Deuce Vaughn.
Deuce Vaughn.
I know, we need an immature baby in this house.
Yeah,
man.
right on, man.
So,
dude, Xavier Worthy, 5 receptions, 28 yards. What the hell, man?
Yeah.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah, that's pretty weak. Then Kenneth Walker, the third, had a pretty weak week. And like you're saying, Bijan Robinson had a great week, but you got to crack. You pretty much have to hit 150.
I was going to say 135 yards and 2 touchdowns, and you're just like, no, not on my box score, Boomers.
If I told you about every college guy that had 15 yards, whatever he did, it'd be,
we'd be talking trade targets.
Right? We'd be going all night. So.